We're continuing to keep an eye on Tropical Storm Isaias as it makes its way to the northwest just off the Florida coast. You can see some of those outer rain bands even pushing their way into Daytona Beach, over even all the way towards Tampa. So a rainy day in Florida. The good news is it's not going to make an impact on our weather until we look ahead to Monday. But we do have the latest advisory in from the National Hurricane Center as of 11 a.m. on our Sunday morning. Winds of 65 miles per hour, gusts closer to about 75 miles per hour. It's moving to the north-northwest at about 8, so not a whole lot has changed since the previous advisory, and we do expect it to stay very similar to this in terms of intensity and movement through most of our Sunday. As we head into Monday, it could take that turn to the northeast, which is then eventually going to lead to a potential landfall in South Carolina or North Carolina. Something new today for South Carolina is these watches and warnings that have been in place. We now have tropical storm warnings from Myrtle Beach all the way down to the southernmost point of our beaches, including Charleston, Myrtle Beach, Hilton Head, Edistoke Beach. And for us here in the Midlands, we have a tropical storm watch in place for Orangeburg County and Clarendon counties. So basically all that's saying is in the next 48 hours, we are anticipating winds that could reach tropical storm strength. So about 40 miles per hour or greater wind gusts are going to be possible as we look ahead into Monday, into the early portions of our Tuesday. Another new thing for our Sunday is the addition of this flash flood watch, basically for the eastern half of South Carolina. Our grounds are already fairly saturated from rain earlier this month, and we're going to add a couple more inches on top of that. So we are going to watch for that potential for some flooding in areas that typically flood, as well as potentially some of that flash flooding. So especially in the eastern half of the Midlands communities, everyone though should be on guard in case you do get one of those heavier rain bands that could lead to that flooding potential. Let's talk about the track for Tropical Storm Isaias. This is the latest as of 11 a.m. Sunday morning. It keeps the storm hugging the Florida coast. It does look like a landfall along Florida is not as likely anymore. It remains a tropical storm with winds of about 65 miles per hour through Monday morning. After Monday morning, it starts that northeasterly turn, closing in on our area. By Monday evening, the storm center does have the system just off of Charleston, so just off the South Carolina coast, and then by Tuesday morning up towards Raleigh. So once it gets to South Carolina, the storm is going to book it. It is going to move very quickly. It's looking like landfall somewhere in the North Carolina-South Carolina border. Generally, I'm thinking between Myrtle Beach and Wilmington, North Carolina is where a landfall could occur as a tropical storm. It does not look like this storm will intensify. We'll of course keep our eyes on that as well. And the other piece of good news is we have two pieces of good news. One, Columbia and the Midlands, we are on the left side of the storm. We are on the west side, which historically has some of the more minimal impacts when it comes to tropical systems. A little bit less rainfall and a little bit less winds or any type of severe weather. So there's some piece of good news. And the other good news is the faster the system moves once it gets to South Carolina, the least amount of time that we'll have under the impacts of the storm. So we want it to move fairly quickly so that we can get the rain out of here and get those winds out of here as well. Eventually the storm tracking up into Canada by the end of the week. So our impacts here across the Midlands, they're fairly low. Rain is going to be the thing that we watch the most. About a ½ to an inch in our areas west, 2 to 3 inches possible areas east, even higher along the coast. Winds gusting to 20 to 40 miles per hour is possible, especially Orangeburg and Clarendon counties where they are under that tropical storm watch. And the severe weather, as I mentioned, it's a very low threat. It's not a zero threat, but it is fairly low. We're not expecting anything basically in terms of that severe weather. So that's the good news. Here's our percentages of your chance of seeing these 40-mile-per-hour winds or these tropical storm force winds. About a 10% chance here in the capital city. The farther east you live, the better chance you have. Closer to a 30 to 40% chance for Clarendon County and those over in Manning. Rainfall totals, as I mentioned, about ½ inch to maybe an inch areas east, 3 to 4 inches possible the farther west, or excuse me, we flip-flopped that. About a ½ inch to an inch areas west, about 2 to 4 inches areas east. Again, the closer to the coast you are, the more you need to pay attention with this system. And we're tracking multiple systems because it is the summertime. We have this other system out in the Atlantic Ocean with a 60% chance of development over the next 5 days. We'll have to see what this one does. We'll keep our eyes on it, but it's not our primary concern right now. If anything changes with that, we will certainly let you guys know. But that is the update as of 11 a.m. from the National Hurricane Center. Remember to keep it here on air and online, and we'll continue to bring you the latest updates.